Here it is, early August, and usually this time of year we're in Traverse City attending the Center for Automotive Research seminars. And this year's a little bit different. Everything is on Zoom. And this year, of course, they have the same quality of people talking, but it's on our laptops. It's not in a big auditorium. One of the early sessions was all about vehicle electrification. And a couple of the people who talked at that session, Dustin Kraus from VW and Dr. Jörg Trampler from ZF Industries, talked about Volkswagen's new two-gear electric system.
So with another gear, we can improve vehicle acceleration if that's wanted. We can increase towing capacity if that's wanted. I mean, electric motors have full torque from the beginning. However, if you really want to tow heavy loads, an extra gear helps, definitely. And the other one, and that's the even more significant one, we can operate the electric motor in a more efficient RPM range, and we can even optimize our electric motors for a certain RPM range and being more efficient. And we can operate the motor then, as I said, in that RPM range. So there are a lot of things that are coming together. And I know we're always being asked on the 8-speed side, where is that going? I can only say, I mean, the step from our Gen 3 to our new Gen 4 transmission, the focus is on electrification. Because we had 3 generations where we continuously squeezed out that transmission in terms of efficiency, and now it's electrification. And I can also say, if that new transmission, the Gen 4, were to be developed purely for high voltage electrification, so PHEV and so on, it likely would not have 8 gears, it probably would have fewer gears.
There are a bunch of questions around range anxiety, and I know range anxiety is something that people, my experience is people that don't drive electric vehicles have. People that live with them don't necessarily have because they've learned to understand it. And one of them is, we've heard every year for 5, 6, 7 years going up to northern Michigan for the Traverse City event, how there are no charging stations between southeast Michigan and northern Michigan. How do you help the customers understand the different perspective of range and energy availability? And then how do you also get some of that charging infrastructure into those places like northern Michigan, like the Lakes District, places where people will drive to? I guess in California it would be Tahoe.
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been driving EVs since I had to stop. Driving across the country, stopping at KOA campgrounds, charging the car. So, how far that we've come, I feel pretty good about it. But we've got a long way to go to get some mass market appeal, and to give customers the freedom that gas stations lining the highways give them now. Mm-hmm. But I think what it is just changing the perspective a little bit. And I think this is something that most people don't think about when they're piloting their car. They're actually piloting it. And you've got to think about, okay, where am I going? What is my path to get there? Where am I going to stop? Where am I going to refuel? Most people have to think that because gas stations are just kind of everywhere, right? Especially along highway routes. So I think it's just going to be investment. And that's why I feel so good about VW's position here, because with the investment in Electrify America, we already have the large network in the country. We're opening more stations every day. We're thinking about those routes, particularly to connect different parts of the country. Mm-hmm. And then also to have those locations in cities if you were to need charging there. But most importantly is really to give people that option to drive kind of coast to coast if they want. And the funny thing about that is, and I dealt with this even in the early days of Tesla, is customers often would come in and say, well, what if I want to drive to Florida on a moment's notice? I'm like, have you ever done that before? And I think it's just a lot of perspective setting. And the whole thing about owning a car is freedom. It's the main driver to wanting to have a car. So I can go wherever I want, whenever I want, and I can do it easily. And we just really need to convey that you can do that with an EV too. There really aren't the same limitations that there have been in the past. People aren't stopping at KOA campgrounds like I used to have to do to drive, long distances. In an electric car. And just think, in such a short period of time. Now, I got into electric vehicles in 2008, and there was no infrastructure. And now 12 years later, we have coast-to-coast fast charging. We have hundreds of thousands of electric vehicles on the road. Just imagine where we're going to go for another 10 years. So I think we're going to solve a lot of those problems for customers. I feel particularly good about Volkswagen's position in that and our strategy behind not only our vehicle strategy, but charging.
Jorg solved it with a range extender, right, Jorg, in your vehicle?
Yes, I mean, it's there. It's a burden in terms of weight and cost and maintenance, but it's a peace of mind machine.